Make sure you don't miss a thing. Go to starzology.com/newsletter and sign up. Welcome to the Starzology Astrology Podcast. I am your host, Alison Price, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Arwynne O'Neill.
Hello, Alison. It's great to be here again.
So nice to have you once more. So in this episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking about the progressed lunar phase.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the lunar phase, although phase itself is the main principle behind both of them, right? So when we're talking about, just as a general introduction for anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about the phases of the moon.
Yep.
And there are 8 specific phases. And this is the only thing in astrology, there's 8, everything else is 12. But for some reason, there are 8 phases because we can clearly see them.
Yeah.
And this has been in human knowledge since the dawn of time.
Right.
Obviously, you can look out the window, and if you know what you're looking at, you can see what phase you're in.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a good astrologer, you'll know beforehand anyway. But the idea is that not only does the transiting moon have phases, that's one thing. You will also have a lunar phase in your natal chart, which is your birth lunar phase. We can talk about that in a moment. And then you have something called the progress lunar phase, which is coming from the secondary progress chart, depending on actually depending how old you are, what your phase is.
Right.
So we can have a look at those as well.
Very
but
cool.
In general, the 8 phases, the principle of phase itself remain, regardless of whether it's the transiting, your natal, or the actual progress.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm just going to go through it. So there are 8 lunar phases, and they are in order. I'm just going to list them first, then we'll dig in a bit deeper, and also look at this progress, because that's super interesting too. So the first phase is the new moon phase. Then you have the crescent phase, the first quarter phase, the gibbous phase. Then we have the full moon. Next, we have disseminating, last quarter, and balsamic.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes these phases have different names, but it doesn't really matter. But so do you know what your natal lunar phase is?
New moon.
Yeah, so you've got a new moon phase, because the moon is which is honestly a very good phase to have.
I like it. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think that happens when the sun and the moon are nearly conjunct, or when they are conjunct, and when
that phase begins at the conjunction to the 45.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So each phase is 45 degrees long, wide. So you're in your natal chart, you've got the sun, then you've got the moon just ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so you're in the new moon phase, which is a great phase to be in.
Yeah, I've got my sun and moon conjunct in Virgo, and they're they've just gone into Virgo. I was born within the first few days of the sun being in Virgo, and so that new moon in
super interesting.
Virgo.
Yeah. So my lunar phase is actually crescent.
Nice.
So I've got the sun, and then the moon is almost at the square opposite. The actual aspect is the square, but the phase is still crescent. So that's an interesting thing too. Yeah. So that's both in our natal charts. And for our listeners, go to your natal chart and find out what your phase is. Yeah. There is, if you click through to the blog post below this podcast episode, all the phases are listed there, so you can determine. And I've got a little table showing how to determine which phase you're in. And if you're struggling, just drop me an email and I'll work it out for you, because we want you guys to follow along with us. But then if we look at the secondary progress lunar phase, what you have to do here is to actually cast the progress chart, which we've done for both Arwynne and I. And what you're looking at is, because in the progress chart, your sun has moved. If you're 50 years old, it's moved 50 degrees, but the progress moon will have moved round too. Mm-hmm. So the progress moon will take 30 years to go round, as it would take 30 days to go round. Right. So your progress phase is ever changing.
Yeah.
And each progress phase lasts 3.5 years.
The progress moon is moving faster than anything else in the progress chart.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but then you're not looking at your natal sun, you're then looking at your progress sun position and the progress moon position.
Yeah.
So we've just cast Arwynne's chart, and we can actually see that she's at the last quarter phase by progression.
Right.
So even though natally you've got the new moon phase, by progression, you're just entering the last quarter phase, and that will last for a couple of years, and then you enter the balsamic.
Amazing.
So all of these are the phases of life almost, if it were. And I think that this period of it's like 3.5 years where it's a time period. You've got this phase, you're living this phase for a while.
Yeah.
And every now and again, every 30 years, it will go back to your natal phase. Then you're back kind of recalibrated your moon.
Very cool. Yeah.
So that's interesting. And my progressed lunar phase is actually at the present moment, as we're in February, it's a gibbous, but in March 2026, I'm getting the full moon. I'm getting the opposition. So it's moving into the full moon phase.
Exciting.
So I think, to be honest, I think this is why we're talking about this, because I saw it coming up. I thought, we got to talk about the phases. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love it.
So on the blog post there that we're linking to, I do have an example there for John Travolta, and you can just follow along quite clearly that natally he's got a full moon, but by progression, he's into the balsamic phase. This is just an example of how you can determine what your phase is, because you might know your natal phase, but you might not necessarily know your progress phase.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be honest, when I'm forecasting for people, the progress lunar phase is the first thing I check, because it's a good indication of what they're up to.
Yeah.
Their background theme for this period.
What has brought them to you, so to speak.
Yes. Yes. What's kind of going on.
Yeah.
So you're then looking at the progress sun to the progress moon. That's the phase we're going for.
Cool.
So for some of our super fans who are listening, hopefully we've explained that clearly. Do you think, Arwynne, or
I think
do we need to express it again in some way? There's two separate things here.
There's two separate things. And I think the thing that they need to know is how to cast that progress chart. If they go to an astrologer, that's, all they need to do is they need to just ask you, what's the progress moon phase? If you want to do it yourself as well, you can either with whatever astrology software you may have on your phone, if you have Solar Gold, if you have one of those, or you can go to astro.com and you can look in their additional charts or advanced chart setting, and you can actually just kind of cast it yourself, and you'd cast your progress chart, and then you would just be able to see
work out
where
what the phase is. Yeah,
exactly.
But as I said earlier, because I know that we're getting complicated here, that I am saying that if anybody is lost at what we're at here, and we're talking to, you know who we're talking to, you can just send me an email at starzology@gmail.com and I will cast your chart and I will come up with a phase. I'm not going to interpret your chart, but I'll tell you what your progress lunar phase is.
Reply balsamic. Yes. That's it.
Exactly. I'll be saying, hey,
give us.
Hey, hey, Mo, it's this, or whatever, or Sarah. These are our super fans
just
who are
random names that you've picked out of
we
hat.
hear from these people every single episode, and we absolutely appreciate that they give us great feedback about the podcast and the sort of things they want to listen to. And we absolutely love you guys, and we definitely want to make sure that you're following along with what we're talking about.
Yes.
Because it can get complicated, and this is one of those episodes where it can get complicated if you don't quite get it. And you want to make sure you know what your phase is, when it started, and when it's going to end and change to the next phase. Because it all moves forward. There's no retrogrades with phases.
Well, now I have to ask.
Okay.
I would know if I was just going to cast a progress chart, because I would cast it for today. I would say, what's my progress chart today?
Yes.
How would I know if something's coming up? You said you saw this coming up in March. And how would you know that? Because
I could see when I cast my progress chart that the sun was in one position and the moon was coming up to make the opposition, the exact opposition to it. Therefore, I knew it was gibbous and it was going to make the full.
Because when the sun and moon are opposite each other, that is a full moon.
Exactly. And that would then be the full phase that will start that period.
Right. Cool.
So the phases change at the exact aspects, the conjunction,
the
semi-square,
the
square, then the sesquiquadrate, and the actual full, the opposition.
We don't talk about sesquiquadrates that much, but that's...
I know, there's a word to throw in, sesquiquadrate.
You can't even play that.
I know, it's like disseminating. You think, what did she say? Disseminating.
Not discriminating.
No. So, and I did have a woman who actually contacted me a couple of weeks ago and said that sometimes she doesn't know what we've said, but she goes to read the transcript.
I love it.
And then she can follow along because...
Thank you, Spotify.
Yeah. And, it's coming from...
or whatever it is.
Buzzsprout.
Yeah.
But the point is that she's finding a solution to... What did the lady say just then? I can't quite catch what it is because it's new and there's a lot of new concepts if you're an absolute beginner astrologer that we're talking about here.
And thank goodness those auto transcripts have gotten so much better, because a few years ago it would not have understood disseminating or half the words that we say in astrology, like trine.
I know.
Right?
And sesquiquadrate as a word.
Yeah.
So the phases begin at when you divide the chart into 8. There's 8 phases, and they all start at the last 45 degrees, and that's what we're going to be talking about in detail now.
Yeah.
So we've kind of spelt all that out, right? And so we've got the I'm calling it the progress new moon phase.
Yeah.
So this happens when the progress sun and the progress moon come together. And I've got a story, I talk about a tangent. I lived in Toronto for 10 years, and then my husband moved to Vancouver, and he was there 2 years saying, come to Vancouver. I'm saying, no, I'm not leaving my house. I'm not moving, blah, blah, blah. And I stuck it out because I thought he'd come back. And then I looked at my chart and I saw that I had a progress new moon in my 4th house. And I thought, well, that's the move. That's the thing. It's a total new beginning. And when I saw that aspect coming up in my progressions, that day I put the house on the market and I said, okay, we're packing up. I'm coming, because I could see astrologically, I was resisting. And then as it came to the new moon, the actual, what they call it, the germination, the conception, the actual point, I said, okay, I give up. I can't fight this anymore. And I sold the house in Toronto and moved to Vancouver. It wasn't on my plan. Yeah. I left behind a beautiful garden, and that's what kills me.
Oh my God, the garden.
Yeah. So,
but Vancouver, come on.
I know. It grows on you. It grows on you. Yeah. But the point is that you
don't have to shovel snow.
I know. Because he'd done it previously. 5 years prior to that, he'd gone to Calgary for 2 years. And I visited. I said, I'm not living here. It's so flipping cold. And I said, no, I'm not staying. And I resisted. And then he came back.
Well, good for you resisting Calgary. No offense, Calgary. We love you, Calgary. But
we're talking serious cold here, folks. Serious cold.
When people talk about Canada being cold, they're not talking about Vancouver.
It's colder than your freezer. Yeah.
They're talking about food.
So Toronto, you get to minus 26 and you think, oh, grief. Anyway. Yeah. So that's the progress new moon phase. And that happened for me just about 14 years ago when I came to Vancouver at that new moon. Amazing. I said, fine, I'm coming. I sold the stuff. I couldn't believe I was doing it. I was sick and tired of moving, but here we are once more.
Yeah.
So what's happened now, I've been here for just on 13, 14 years, and that progress moon has moved all the way up now to the opposition. It's in March 2026. So I'm now going to be entering that full moon phase, the full maturation of the move I made when I came here. So
amazing. We
are hoping for good things, Arwynne.
I love that. That is a great story.
So I've got some ideas for some themes about progress new moon phase.
Wonderful. Let's do it.
A new identity is forming. Okay. Yeah. Beginning of a long-term life direction, because the whole cycle lasts 29 and a half years. Feeling inward, low energy and introspective because it's still in the dark, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. It's like the seed has germinated, but nobody knows it's happened.
Yeah.
It's like Schrodinger's cat. Yeah. Right. Planting symbolic seeds, particularly, and often a major external or internal reset.
Yeah.
So you get that with the progress new moon phase, and some events that one could assume would be a new relationship, a new job, or a new identity. Life feels quiet but different, and major endings just behind you and a new path ahead. Yeah. It's a new moon phase.
Wonderful.
So, as I said, that was 14 odd years ago.
That's really cool. I love that. And how long will that last exactly again?
To 3.5 years. It just depends. Yeah.
Right. Awesome. Amazing.
I need to get that exact date number here, because I keep saying 2.5, and I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking it's actually 3.5, but it's not, because it's 29, it's the full 30, that's 15, that's 7.5, 3.5 years, 3.5 years.
3.5.
Give or take a whisker.
Got it.
Give or take a whisker.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that's the new moon phase. And I believe we are fortunate to have a goddess for our phases.
I am going to go through each of these phases and just identify a goddess that I think matches up with the symbolism of each of these phases.
I love it.
Yeah. So for the new moon, I am going with Ixtab. She's the Mayan goddess of suicides. And trigger warnings, blah, blah, blah. But it's not so much about suicide as it is about the fact that this is the dark womb of the lunar cycle. It's a threshold, it's a void, it's a point of surrender. And it's the point where, as you said, the germination has to happen in the dark, and things will come to fruition in their own time. And Ixtab is not just a patroness of suicides, but she's actually a psychopomp, which means that she shepherds the souls of the dead from the threshold of death to the afterlife. And as we all know about, I mean, if we know anyone who has committed suicide, or anyone in the celebrity world or in the creative world, these fragile souls who just were too sensitive or too broken for this life and took their own lives, she shepherds these people to the other side, where they can finally be at peace and protected for eternity. And if you think of all the people in the creative fields, music, poetry, literature, and art, as these people who have these incredibly strong feelings, this is why this goddess is so important. She shepherds them into a place where they can be fruitful and creative for eternity.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's super interesting, because it's the actual conjunction point is prior to that, you're balsamic, nothing's happening. Things are lying fallow.
Yeah.
But at that point, the seed germinates, or she gets pregnant.
Yeah. And the dark of the moon.
Yeah. And you don't know if she's pregnant.
Right. Schrodinger's cat, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's happening in the dark, in the moist, same as seed germinating.
Yeah.
And of course.
And the mushrooms growing under logs. And,
yes.
Yeah. All of these wonderful.
Yes. But it's the beginning point. It's almost the catalyst of that.
Yeah.
Absolute. That's the conjunction. That is the power of the
moment
conjunction.
Of conception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. That's a great one. I love that one. Yeah. Okay. So our next phase is the progressed crescent phase. So this is also known as the opening semi-square, if you want to be particular. So the themes here are gaining momentum, overcoming inertia, learning new skills needed for your long-term path, and feeling hope and fragile inspiration.
Yeah.
So typical events that are likely to occur during this particular phase are the first signs of progress are occurring from what you created at the beginning. We're always referring back to that conception point. So no matter where you are in your cycle, you need to go back and say, well, when was that conjunction? And you need to go back and say, oh, it was, 1999 or whatever your date is, and find that. Yeah. So the events are the first sign of progress, early opportunities appear, and confidence building experiences. This is the point where, if we talk about the plant cycle, where the little shoot comes above the ground, suddenly you can see there's life, and you get 2 leaves. So you've got this micro little shoot. It's an inch high with 2 leaves, and if you look at it, you don't know what that plant is. It could be a rosemary bush, or it could be an oak tree.
Yeah.
But the potential is there. It's viable, but you've got to be careful at this stage.
Yeah.
To any creative endeavor at this point too in your life, you've got to be careful to nurture it and look after it.
That's beautiful.
So that is the progressed crescent phase, or the opening semi-square.
Lovely. That's wonderful. I love that. So the goddess I've identified, and how did I choose these goddesses? Well, they were all moon goddesses. So these are all moon goddesses from the mythologies around the world.
Right.
And the one I've chosen for the waxing crescent, or the first crescent, is Chang'e, and she is the Chinese goddess of sacrifice. She was, according to legend, this beautiful woman who was married to a hero archer named Hu Yi. And after he saved the world by shooting down 9 of the 10 suns in the sky, he was rewarded with an elixir of immortality. He didn't want to live forever without his wife, so he left it in her care while he had to go off and do some other thing. There's always something that the guy has to go do, right? And then something happens. So his apprentice tried to steal the elixir. But to keep it safe, Chang'e drank it herself, and she rose into the sky and chose the moon as her home so that she could stay close to her beloved husband and always look out for him. And she represents the tentative light of the crescent moon, full of love and hope, yet tinged with sacrifice and the longing to bridge the distance of space and time.
Wow.
Yeah.
These myths are so interesting, aren't they?
Yeah. And, she has a little rabbit with her, which is, I think, a little sign of hope as well.
Is it?
Because rabbits represent also fertility and fragility. And
Wow.
Yeah. So she's not alone.
Oh,
yeah.
That's great. Well, that's a great imagery for the crescent phase. Yeah. And we will link below to your article about these phases.
I have a little art with all these goddesses, and she's just sitting there on her little crescent moon.
Yeah. And these are specifically the lunar phase goddesses.
Lunar
That's what
goddesses,
we're talking about. I think it's so interesting
thank you.
because it gives a visual idea that we can imagine regarding the phase rather than just some dry words
and instructions. And also it shows so interestingly that every culture on the face of the earth was looking up at the sky. They were making up stories and finding correlations with their real life and the moon phases and the sun and the planets. And they were watching the skies since we were able to come down from the trees. Like we've done this for eons.
It's so interesting. And it's interesting that you pick the moon goddesses, because I know with astrology, you've got geocentric astrology, which is what we do, where the earth is in the center.
Right.
You can then get heliocentric astrology, which is where they put the sun in the center.
Right.
But when they are doing lunar centered, it's called Selenogical. Selena. And it's to do with Selena. Absolutely. So when they landed on the moon, when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, they did the chart is lunar based, and it's called Selenology, I think. So Nick Campion talks about it a lot. And they're referencing Selene, which I'm sure we're going to get to.
We are going to get to her. I have actually a tiny little digression. This is a hilarious little story that happened. So I have a really cute story about Chang'e. She was mentioned in a conversation between Houston and the Apollo 11 crew just before the moon landing in 1969. So Ronald Evans says to Michael Collins, who was up in the lunar lander, he says, among the large headlines concerning Apollo this morning, one is asking that you watch for a lovely girl with a big rabbit. An ancient legend says this girl named Chang'e, they spelled it wrong, has been living there for 4,000 years. It seems she was banished to the moon because she stole the pill of immortality from her husband. Of course, they get the story a bit twisted. You might also, this is still Ronald Evans talking to the space shuttle. You might also look for her companion, a large Chinese rabbit who's easy to spot as he is always standing on his hind feet in the shade of a cinnamon tree. The name of the rabbit is not reported. And Michael Collins replies, okay, we'll keep a close eye out for the bunny girl.
Oh.
And this is an actual conversation between NASA astronauts.
There you go.
Because I guess they were scanning the news.
Yes.
In China, there was a headline about Chang'e.
Exactly. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I love it when mythology creeps into the world.
Yeah,
it's
exactly. Exactly. And as I say, the actual chart for the moon landing is set on the moon, not on Earth. So it's very interesting.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So moving on, we get to the progress first quarter phase. So this is also known as the opening square. So some themes now are, because you've got the square aspect, taking decisive action, making major choices, tension that forces growth, building structure, and confronting what blocks your emerging identity.
Yeah.
Because this is where you're getting challenges to the conjunction. That's what we're saying. And some events we could anticipate here is job changes, moves, relationship shifts, obstacles that demand courage to overcome, and you push forward, ready or not.
Love it.
So this is this challenge, it's the square, you're having to deal with situations. Now, in the plant world, this is where the roots are establishing on the plant to hold it in position, so you can't always see it.
Yeah.
But suddenly now it's gone from this little stalk with two leaves, and the roots have now established, and you're starting to see growth. So whatever your project is, if it survived the crescent phase, when you get to the first quarter phase, it's now starting to grow.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the theme for this phase.
I love that. So for the first quarter phase, I have chosen Artemis.
Right.
A Greek goddess of the hunt. She's also a goddess of the moon.
Yes.
And she is very decisive. This is, of course, as you say, the turning point where intention meets resistance for the first time. She's a huntress. She's a virgin goddess, but she also represents self-possession, free will, protection, and preservation. She's both a hunter and a protector of wild creatures, and famously also a protector of young women and virgins and young mothers. And she represents the moment where your skill and your desire are tested against the forces outside of you that want to do harm to you or
super interesting, because it's the square, right? It's the challenge.
Yeah.
We are challenged. We are saying, shall we move forward? Do I need to jettison what I'm doing?
Right.
Or if it's some guy, can I put up with this?
Or take aim and
yes.
Yeah.
Because the square is, of course, the aspect of Mars anyway. So you've got that challenge.
Right.
Right there. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I like that one.
Yeah.
And then we get to the progress gibbous phase. So this is the opening sesquiquadrat. Main themes here are self-improvement, adjusting the plan, fine-tuning your skills or purpose, preparing for a public phase, because that's coming, but we're preparing. And our main keywords and ideas here is events are going to happen, study or training is highlighted, you edit, revise, polish your life direction, and feeling almost ready. Mm-hmm. So in the plant cycle, this is where the plant has blossoms. So if you've got a red apple tree, you'll get pink blossoms. And if you've got a green apple tree, you'll get those white green blossoms.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
So suddenly, yes. So what you're seeing is then you're actually seeing what color your fruit's going to be. Because, I mean, you know, if you
apples,
know,
you don't know.
Well,
apples are weird that way.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But the point is that the actual color of the blossom will tell you the color of the fruit.
Yeah.
And that is the potential. I'm getting ready. It's coming. We've got this blossom coming. Not every plant blossoms, but those fruit trees that do. This is the blossom phase, and your project can blossom. And you can be saying, "I'm doing this sort of thing," and you may be sharing some ideas, and it's going to be looking like this, and I'm going to be doing that, and you can share what's blossoming in your project.
Yeah.
Your art or your craft or your whatever it is. Yeah. And this is great because it's give us, so we've now moved into the light from the dark side of the phase. We've moved into the light side of the phase. And it's kind of, you know, I'm almost ready.
Yeah. It's waxing. It's almost there. I love that.
Yeah. So that's the gibbous phase.
Amazing. So for the waxing gibbous phase, I have chosen Ixchel, the Mayan goddess of nature. And she's represented, she's a moon goddess, but she's also the goddess of the rainbow.
Wow.
So there we go with the colors.
Yes.
And it's the almost full phase. So she's bustling, creative, and overflowing with momentum. She's a goddess of weaving, which is a singularly feminine craft, but it is all about bringing things together and creating something functional and beautiful. So she is about the buildup of forces in nature. She represents healing, fertility, childbirth, and floods. So she represents the preparation and bringing all of your intentions together to fullness. And she also is a goddess of nature. So some of her totems are snakes and jaguars and rabbits, which are very prevalent in the jungles of South America, of course. And it's a time for weaving together all the loose ends in preparation for the next thing.
Yeah, you're blossoming.
It's like if you've done your due diligence, you'll get rewarded, and if not, it could be swept away by the waters of Ixchel's floods.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. This is the phase I'm in right now in February, but moving into the full moon in March. So it's actually interesting that we're doing this now. It is, and there's many things on the go. And it's like you're teasing things out, saying, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and doing the next thing. So
what phase was I in again?
You are in the last quarter phase. We're getting to you. Do not worry.
I could not remember where I was. Yeah.
I know. That's what I say. It can be complicated at this point. Yeah. But the idea is you want to know what phase you are, because we're talking 3.5 years. So get with the program. Yeah. Get with the program.
I mean, if you think about the last, that's how long it takes for a phase to happen in your life.
And it's a good chunk of time to get things done, actually, to get projects off the ground. Mm-hmm. And we love a good project, Arwynne.
Do we ever?
All right. So then we get to the progress full moon phase, which is what we were talking about. Yeah. So this is the opposition. So the themes are now the harvest. You've seen the results of the last 14 years of your life. Mm-hmm. Visibility, recognition, and illumination, because it's the full moon. We can fully see what's going on. Yeah. A life peak or a turning point, and sudden clarity about your purpose, because now you can see at the full moon, you can see what's going on.
Right.
You can see in the nooks and crannies and say, well, can I put up with that or not? But you're under no illusions now.
Yeah.
This is what it is, and that's how your project has come out into the public domain.
Yeah.
So major events related to the full moon phase are major realizations that it's good, it's not, or whatever.
Right.
Career breakthroughs, because we often attend to these things. Relationship peaks or conclusions. Mm-hmm. And public visibility.
Yeah.
So it depends what you want to actually lean into, because what you've done, what you've achieved in the last 14 years, dear Lord, Alison, has become public domain, and you're going forward with that.
Yeah.
So the good, the bad, and the ugly is being presented. So say you got married 14 years ago at the new moon, you're going to say, well, this is what my marriage is. This is what he's turned into. And I'm going to accept it and move on. Or I've made a decision.
Yeah.
The writing's on the wall, because you could clearly see at that full moon.
Right. And the full moon was always important to the ancient world, because before electricity, which is only like 150 years ago, like even less than that, it's before that, there were gas lamps, there were, different forms of artificial light, but really the full moon for millennia, for millions of years, in fact, of our, evolution as a species and as mammals on this earth, we were illuminated by the stars and the moon. And when the moon was full, we could actually go out at night and see things. And
yes.
Yeah.
Well, even in World War II, they planned their invasions when it was dark and they knew and whatnot.
Exactly. Fully. So my full moon goddess,
yes,
we have teased, is Selene, the Greek goddess of the moon. Yeah, she's literally the embodiment of the full moon. She's radiant, complete, undeniable. She represents the mythic glamour of moonlit revelation. She's emotionally open and deeply intuitive. And she rides a silver chariot across the sky. And nothing remains hidden from her
exactly.
gaze. One of the most famous stories about her was that she fell in love with a beautiful mortal shepherd named Endymion, and Zeus granted him eternal sleep so that they could be together. So, and Zeus doesn't usually just bestow gifts upon people. He's usually just raping and mist.
Right, thunderbolts and things.
That too. Yeah. So she represents the sacred liminality of the full moon, when the night is at its brightest and when sleep can be a cosmic loophole for death.
Yeah. This is brilliant, because you know yourself, at the full moon, if you happen to be standing at a bus stop in the night, which I frequently am, suddenly you can see that raccoon running down the sidewalk that you wouldn't see at the new moon. You can clearly see what's going on. It's awareness.
I saw a rat. I was coming home from the bus the other day. It wasn't even that late. It was like 6:00 in the evening, and a rat scurried by. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful. Yeah,
there you go.
I wanted to see that. It was
I've seen skunks down here at the law court. So.
Oh, they're cute. So.
Maybe, but the point is that at the full moon, you can see more.
Yeah,
and you can say, okay, I'm paying attention. I'm not. You don't have to like what you're seeing.
Yeah,
but that is the fruition, the maturity of what happened 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is always why you want to follow the cycle. See what was happening at the beginning of the cycle that you are in, because it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And to see, because you'll get these 3 cycles during the course of your life. Where are you in the cycle, and what is this fruition? And as I say, we're standing here in February, and I've got this thing going down in March, and I'm thinking, ooh, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And when you say 3 cycles, we're assuming a full life to
100.
Yes, exactly.
We're living to 100 these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, because each cycle is really 29 and a half years, call it 30 years, but it's 29 and a half years.
Yeah.
So, and your cycles don't begin at the new moon. They start at the phase which you were born into.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. Yeah, great. So that was the full moon.
Yeah.
Great, Selene. We love that.
Yeah.
Then we get to the progressed disseminating phase, also known as this closing sesquiquadrate. So some themes here are teaching, mentoring, and passing on knowledge, broad communications, seeking meaning, and giving back. Mm-hmm. Events anticipated during this phase are publishing, speaking, and coaching, sharing your full moon insights that you had in the previous thing by teaching others, and becoming influential.
Yeah.
So the disseminating phase is the point in the plant cycle where we've had the fruits. That was the full moon.
Yeah.
Now we're getting the seed pods are now popping, and the seeds are being disseminated around the ground. And this could be your ideas are being disseminated. Whatever it was you did is being disseminated and spread about.
Yeah.
Your project, people are spreading the word. I don't know. What do we want to say if you...
Yeah. It's once you have something to actually share.
Yes.
The full moon is when your project is complete and you've reached some stage of enlightenment, and then the next stage is actually sharing
it with others and teaching others what you even know.
Right.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe you know how to play the piano. You can then teach others in this disseminating phase, or share your knowledge with others. And that's why writing and communication comes in, because you might decide, I'm going to do a paper about X, Y, Z, about what my fruition.
Yeah.
Whatever your fruition was, there will be some supporting documentation, or you're going to tell other people, or if you're me, you're probably going to blog about it or write a book about it, or decide to put something out there. And the best time to do that is during the disseminating phase.
Totally. So the goddess I've selected for this is Yemaya. She is a Yoruba goddess of the ocean. And this is the integration phase. As you said, it embodies generosity, the harvest, and sharing the abundance of all that has just ripened. She's the mother of all oceans and tides, and she's a nurturing force of nature in all its fertile glory. She's compassionate, protective, and giving, and she's a great symbol of all that is maternal in the physical world. So her association with the oceans and feeding her children who live on the land with the bounty of the oceans. And
did you say Yanaba? Sorry,
Yemaya.
What does that mean? So is this an African?
It is an African. Okay. Yes, it's the Yoruba.
Fantastic. Yeah, and every culture has a moon goddess.
Of course, absolutely. And I love the fact that she's not just about motherhood and fertility. She's also about creation and protection, and about nurturing with the plenty that comes from the ocean and from
she's dispersing
waters. Yeah,
fantastic, because water does disperse, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Rain and yeah.
Great, that's a great one, Arwynne. Yeah. Then we get to the progress last quarter phase, also known as the closing square. This is you now. Okay. So our main themes at this point are letting go, releasing old goals, relationships, or identities, internal crisis that forces a reorientation, and preparing for a new cycle. Mm-hmm. The events that are likely to occur at this time are major restructuring of your life, ending commitments, changing beliefs or direction, and feeling this no longer fits me. Mm. So because this is the last quarter phase and it's starting at the square, it's where you're saying, do I want to keep this in my life, or is it time to let it go? And if so, let's let it go now. Mm-hmm. Because I want to take on I want to wear a different mantle. I want to be seen as somebody else. I was this person, now I'm going to be seen as that person. I was Mrs. Smith, now I'm going to get rid of him and become somebody else.
Right.
Or whatever it is. So it's it's a crisis point because it's square, and the decision is, I've seen what the cycle showed me up until that point, and I'm either going to keep it or make it mine, or I'm going to jettison it at this point.
Yeah.
So in the plant world, this is where the plants are, the leaves are falling.
Yeah.
It's over. The party's over. Go home. We're dropping our leaves now. There's nothing else here for you.
Yeah.
Because we're going to we're changing through the cycle.
Right. Yeah.
So
entering a hibernation phase.
Sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you might find that, for instance, in your life, that you want to say, well, I'm not going to be doing that sort of thing anymore. I'm going to focus on this sort of thing. But it is a time to say, because it relates to the Scorpio theme at that point of that cycle where you're purging the unwanted. Mm. So maybe you decide, I'm going to lose some weight, or I'm going to get rid of all this junk, or I'm going to stop spending my life scrolling whatever. Yeah. And I'm going to, it's a time to decide what to get rid of to clear the way for the next cycle.
Yeah.
So you can start afresh.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's actually resonating with you at the moment, because I'm not quite sure.
Well, I would just be very interested to know when this phase began and when it's ending. And I'm not asking you, but that's what you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that is a very specific sort of thing. And of course, there has been a lot of change in the last few years of my life. And I feel like I'm definitely entering something new right now, but you never know. So,
it's a time you've got to make space in your life by getting rid of. Well, this is why minimalism is such a big thing, because you say, let me get rid of all this clutter, because even tables and IKEA bookcases have energy and they're draining you. So what is not working for you, that's the question. This no longer fits me.
Yeah.
Not that the pants don't fit, but I'm not this person, and it's time to get rid of this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a chance to get things out of your life that are no longer serving you, basically, whatever they happen to be.
Yeah.
So
I'm always doing that.
Yeah. Well, but this is the phase to do it. That's the progress last quarter phase. And do you have a goddess for us?
I do. And this is an interesting one. She is Hina, the Polynesian goddess of transformation. So this is a quarter, the last quarter moon is about discernment, letting go and refining what matters out of out of everything.
Yeah.
So she chose her path and journeyed to the moon for peace and sovereignty. And she expresses the essence of the energy of letting go, but also in the self-determination that is in the power to step away and to choose what no longer nourishes you. She's not fleeing. She is separating. And she's a wise and ancient goddess of the Polynesian islands. And she was a celestial navigator, a creator associated with shaping the islands and guiding humanity, teaching them how to fish and snare, snare the sustenance, actually. And so she's about fertility and protection, but also about women's knowledge. So I think that's an interesting association.
Yeah. It's all hooking into the same thing that you. Yeah,
taking stock and relinquishing what no
letting
serves you.
Let it go.
And just preserving what does sustain you and moving forward with a more sparse sort of carry-on bag, if you will.
Yes, it's the nomadic life. And it can also be that maybe you've got a brother-in-law or a sister-in-law, not that I have, that are just so darn tootin' annoying. You can let them go because you cannot take their baggage on.
Yes.
Your baggage has to fit in the cabin above, right?
Yes.
Don't check your bags. You know what I mean?
Yes. And it doesn't have to be your primary partner or someone, but anyone who is abusive to you.
Yes.
And
wears you down.
Physically, emotionally, in any way.
Or he's not uplifting. You don't need them.
You don't need them. And it could be a friend who you are just constantly hearing from, or it could be a relative you see once every however long. And if they drain you and if they're constantly bringing up old things and you're just like, why? What? I never ever come out of these engagements feeling better.
That is
cut
great.
Them loose.
Yeah.
Cut them loose.
Yeah, cut them loose. And it's to your benefit to do so. It's to your benefit to get rid of what is not working for you.
Yeah.
It's not easy. I'm not saying it is.
No,
but,
of course not.
And
and we're not suggesting, frivolously, you voted for the wrong person and therefore you're dead to me. Not that at all. No, it's more just what serves you, what sustains you. And of course, we've talked before about, our audience is very diverse, but we feel like a lot of our audience is probably women our age. And if you know, you know.
Yeah, it's just put them in the category of somebody that I used to know and move on. Move on. You don't need to have a big argument.
No,
just
you
move on.
You can even delete that chat chain if you're scrolling through your phone and you're seeing this chat and every time you see their face, their the last conversation you had with them, you're getting a little twinge. Just delete that.
Yeah. This is it.
Delete
Does it serve you? If not, it's time to this is the phase to clean out things, to get those cobwebs out. And it's a good thing to do. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And then we get to our final phase. This is the 8th lunar phase. This is the progress balsamic phase, also known as the closing semi-square. So the themes here are closure, healing, rest, spiritual insight, removing old karma and patterns. And some events we could anticipate during this time are eclipsing old relationships by something new, preparing energetically for a new cycle, because the new cycle's coming, deep solitude or creativity, and completion of a long chapter, because this is the end of a long 29-year cycle. Yeah. And this is the time where in the plant world, the land is lying fallow. Nothing's growing, nothing's moving, nothing's happening, nothing's being fertilized, nothing's happening. And it's a time to rest and recuperate, and that's what you need to be doing too. It's not a time to launch new things or start a new whatever. It's a time to actually say, okay, let me look inwards. Let me attend to me. I need to get my rest. I need to get my sleep. I need to eat well, protect my body, protect my psychic energy. And it's a time to withdraw and lie fallow, if you will.
Yeah.
So that is the actual progress balsamic phase, which you'll be going into probably in about 18 months, where it's a time to say, let me just take it easy. I need to pause because the new cycle's coming.
Yeah.
At the next new moon, that new cycle is coming as it forced me out of Toronto. But I was quite complacent in my house with my garden and the kids at the school and everything was just tickety-boo.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think. And then the new phase begins.
Interesting.
So it's a time for humans to actually, about 3.5 years, where you can pause, and you should, to say, well, what am I doing? Where am I going? What I need to rest. So you can listen to your body. And that's the importance of this phase.
Yeah.
Although it seems like you're just going to lie in bed all day, but which I suppose you could. But the point is that you don't need to be out there giving big presentations, making big scenes, making waves at this time. Don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's hard to match up a goddess with most goddesses are very active.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I've kind of gone a different direction with this, but hear me out here. So the goddess I've selected for this phase is Isis, the Egyptian goddess of magic and immortality.
Okay.
She is represents the closing cycle, which is about wisdom, healing, magic, and she is sort of okay. So the big story about her is that when her husband Osiris was in a battle with, then they were brother sister. They're all brothers and sisters. It's just how they did it back then. His brother and their brother Set murdered Osiris and dismembered him and cast his body into pieces. And so Isis collected all the pieces of his body and set out on a raft with his body, with his parts of his body, and she reassembled him. And so this is that phase where you're going down the river and you're piecing everything kind of together, and through her magic and love, she was able to resurrect him, and they made love, and through that union came the sun god Horus. So she's kind of a combination of that final phase of the moon, and then kind of maybe going into the next phase.
It, because we have to. Yeah, but she could have decided to just let it go.
Yeah, and mourn and be in mourning. But no,
exactly,
she's the most powerful goddess of the ancient Egyptian world,
Isis.
And it's all about death and rebirth and healing and transformation.
Well, this is the death part, isn't it? It's that balsamic. It's the end. It's we're letting go now. We're going to. A new chapter's coming, but it's not here yet.
Yeah, and it wasn't like she didn't know she had that power, which is the cool part. She just through just loving him so much, she collected all those parts, and and going out on a barge that was like a funeral pyre. You know, it was like, okay, this is either a funeral or it's going to become something, right?
Wow,
right, and it became something, but you never know.
That is a great goddess for the balsamic phase. I think it gives a good imagery as well, right?
Yeah.
We'll be doing that. We'll be setting fire to our barges as well.
Right.
Yeah. So we've gone through the 8 progress lunar phases. There's a lot to it, and I certainly urge you, as our listeners, to make sure you know what phase you're in now and when the phase is going to change, so you can prepare ahead of time.
Yeah.
So in general, there are important phase changes. Some phases are more important than others. So first up, what I call the pecking order. We've got the 1 conjunction. The progress new moon is the important time. Yeah. That's the beginning of the full cycle. And then the opposition, which is the progress full moon, is actually the next most important period. Yeah. And then you have the 2 squares, which will be drivers for activity for you to do something about it.
Yeah.
Now, the other phases are more subtle, and you can lean into them if you will, but they're not going to force you to do things that the other 4 will.
Love it.
So, yeah. Okay, so just some ideas then on interpretation, or some interpretation steps for working with the progress lunar phase. So what you are looking for is you're going to cast a secondary progress chart, and you're going to look at the aspect between the progress sun and the progress moon. And you need to know what phase that is. Mm-hmm. That's what we're talking about here. The next thing you want to pay attention to is what sign and degree are the sun and the moon in. So, for instance, with Arwynne, her progress sun is in Libra. Ooh. Super interesting.
Yeah.
And her progress moon is in Leo at 11 degrees.
Amazing.
So you've got that. It's, again, we know it's active, it's outgoing, blah, blah, blah. And you want to pay attention to that. You'll get a lot of information about what sign these, the luminaries are in, the sun and the moon. Additionally, when you cast the secondary progress chart, you will see what houses these planets are in. And now for Arwynne, she's got the sun in the 10th house and the moon is in the 8th house. That's where the square's occurring.
Yeah.
So that will also inform you with more information. And we can't go into everything at this point.
Right. What's interesting to me about that is that the moon is sort of creeping towards a conjunction in a couple of years with my midheaven.
Well, yes. Well, that's the progress chart. Yeah.
And right before it eventually comes around to the new moon phase again.
Exactly.
So it's very much about that, the kind of learning period where we're creeping towards a new breakthrough. I love that.
It's very interesting how, so you need to know that, you need to know the sign, you need to know the degrees you're in, because her sun's at 28 and the moon, the 26, the moon's at 11, so it's coming towards it. It's working through its way through. And then the next aspect will be the semi-square. I don't know what the date is for that. We'd have to look it up. But this is what you're looking for. As a listener, this is what you're looking for so that you can talk about, my progress lunation cycle is this, and it's going to change in my case, in March, and it's going to be there for 3.5 years. And I'm anticipating X, Y, Z because it's occurring in these signs. And this is how you work with the progress lunation phase. Yeah. It's a super interesting part of astrology. And when I do charts for my clients, this is the first thing I do when I'm forecasting, to say, what is their progress lunar phase? Where are they in the cycle in general? Before we get down to the specifics of, you've got, Mercury square your moon. That's the detail. This is the broad strokes behind looking at actually forecasting to see what's going down.
Yeah.
And again, if you're interested in working with phases, you need to get straight onto today's chart. Where's the sun? Where's the moon? What phase are we in? You can see a full moon. Clearly, you can never see a new moon. And pay attention to, when you're looking at the moon in the sky at night, I can see it's the first quarter. I can see the crescent moon, or I can see it's a full moon, and start paying attention and understanding that this phase that we're seeing with a transit, we can also see with our secondary progress chart. And that's the interesting thing about this.
Love that.
Okay, so in this episode, we've been talking about the progress lunar phase. We've explained to you how to find what it is. We've spoken about each of the 8 progress lunar phases. We've also given you some ideas about how to find your own ones. And as I say, if you're really struggling, just email me and I'll calculate it and give you the phase number without a full interpretation. Because we do want you guys to understand what's going on here. It can be confusing, and we don't want you to be down on the wrong phase, because it's a nice chunk of time to get something done. And why wouldn't you want to pay it? You got to go with the flow. I always say you can't surf in if the tide's going out. So make sure you know if the tide's coming in for you or going out for you or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you found value in this episode, please do consider sharing it with anybody who would be interested. Make sure you're getting our newsletter, and you can sign up at starzology.com/newsletter. Additionally, make sure you're getting Arwynne's newsletter, and you can find Arwynne at...
You can find me at mspink.net, MSPINK, and I send out my weekly newsletter every Saturday.
Fantastic. So thank you so much to everyone who's been here today, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for getting this far through the episode. I just want to take a moment to tell you about the 2 main options of my astrology services. So the first one is coaching. If you are an aspiring astrologer, and by that I mean someone who's perhaps a hobbyist astrologer, or someone who's learning astrology, or a student, or you've got a few books and you've been doing it for a while, but perhaps you need a little bit of help to bring it all together, then maybe getting some astrological coaching from me would be the answer for you. The astrology coaching I offer is a 1-hour session on Zoom, and it's tailored to answer your particular questions. For example, if you have issues with natal chart readings, we can go there. Or if you're having problems working with your forecasting, we can go there. Or even basic astrology stuff, or even getting yourself organized for your astrology business. The idea is that astrological coaching will answer your particular questions. It's tailored specifically to you and where you are in your astrological journey. And I'm happy to help you out with some guidance about how you can get going, what to focus on, and what to dismiss. So that would be the astrological coaching for people trying to learn astrology. The second astrological service I offer is consultations. So this is for someone who perhaps doesn't know anything about astrology, but they just want to have their chart read or get their chart done. Call it what you will. So once more, this is a 1-hour consultation over Zoom. I will interpret your chart, tell you about the main features, tell you about where the energy is flowing, and all the rest of what is entailed in a thorough natal chart interpretation. I can also add in some forecasting in there too, bearing in mind we only have 1 hour. So just in summary, I've got coaching for people who want to learn astrology, and I've got consultations for those who want to get an astrology reading done. I'm Alison Price from Starzology.com. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.